Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. We are deep into the winter 2024 season. I hope everyone is enjoying Brave Dungeon Thursdays. Unfortunately, I have not been watching the Brave part of that, but I do like seeing the Let's Get Obari'd screen cap come up every week. That is fun. I also feel like we're going to have to do a GLORIO Gaming No Corner soon with all the games coming out, but we definitely don't have time to get into that part of it today. Maybe next time.
Damn, it's like Jell could feel the bit I was loading into my gun.
Oh, we've been doing this a long time, man. it's the team chemistry.
Jell was gonna say, and with us as always is G, and then I was gonna make a sly like a dragon infinite wealth joke.
Yeah, so if this is episode
derail the podcast for 10 minutes.
If this is episode 155, that means we've been doing the podcast for more than 300 weeks, which is what, like 6 years or something almost. But yeah, that's team chemistry for you. I'm just throwing up the alley-oops for you, G. But yeah. Anyway, we got a lot of anime to talk about. Surprisingly, a lot of these shows have stuck around, at least for now, so we will get into that. But to introduce everybody, I'm Jell. I'm joined by Iro.
I'm still here. I'm not dead yet.
Still living in 2024, which is good. We're joined by G.
It's okay, we don't have to talk about Like a Dragon. Instead, we can talk about Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, the movie 2, wait, was it The Lights in the Sky? No, that's the first movie. Crap.
No, Childhood's End is the first movie.
Oh, Childhood's
End,
Lights in the
Sky are Stars are the second movie.
Yes, The Lights in the Sky are Stars.
Did we... Okay, right. So the last podcast episode, you all had seen the first movie, but not the second movie.
Yes. We have seen the second movie since.
Yeah.
Again, we do not need to relitigate that show. Everybody already knows, but wow, Gurren Lagann, pretty good.
Turns out, 15 years later, still pretty good. All right. And we're also joined by Artemis.
Hi, I am here to stop your talking about Gurren Lagann and instead replace it with... frankly, a shit roster of weekly anime.
We're going to get into the shows you're still watching, Artemis, and I have to say I'm a little surprised because usually you're the one with the most discerning taste to drop shows that are bad. But
we'll get into it. Don't worry.
I guess we'll get into specifics as we go throughout the episode here. But yeah, let's talk about some anime, and we can start with some shows that we haven't talked about in a long time because we had our year-end shows, we had some holiday breaks in there, and then we were all talking about new shows last episode. But now we can come back to two shows that have been continued into this season that we've been watching. The first one being, of course, Frieren Beyond's Journey's End. Now, before we get into the magic exams,
yes,
which is the big thing, I do want to shout out, because we didn't get a chance to talk about episode 17, which is the one where Sign leaves and I think Fern gets sick or something.
Yes.
The last quote-unquote normal episode of Frieren.
Some could say the last
good. Are you going to commit to that, G?
Ouch.
I'm being harsh.
So
go on.
I do want to shout that episode out because I did like that. I did like that episode. I think I always appreciate the message of like adults also need people to care about them too.
Yes. No, it's a very well done episode.
Yeah, and with Sign being like Frieren is the only one that can still talk to him like a kid, and he kind of likes it. Frieren still needing not Frieren, Fern still needing somebody to take care of her when she's sick and everything, and just I thought it was a nice sweet message. So
yeah.
That said, you guys did try to warn me about the magic exams, right?
Yeah,
a little bit. I don't think we ever got into detail.
They're here.
Welcome to the Magic DMV.
Yes.
Please take a number.
Yeah. Meet all the cute wizard girls at the Wizard DMV. Who all have their own special magic spells.
So yes, we have our party arriving at the big magical city in the north, and to go any further, they have to become licensed,
certified,
certified class 1 mages.
the narrative contrivance is essentially that to go past a certain zone in the game, you must meet the level requirements, basically.
Yeah. So I'm sure you guys were eating this up when we back in the demon fight arc when I was like, I like having a little fight here and there in Frieren when it's normally just pretty chill.
And they heard you say you like to fight, and they said, "How about we bring you to the fight buffet and chain you to your chair?"
And I remember I don't remember my exact words, but I said something to the effect of, "So long as this doesn't just become this all the time." And if anybody's not picking up what I'm putting down, the Magic Exam arc, at least for the last 4 episodes, has been doing this all the time.
This is probably the rest of the Frieren anime.
Yeah.
And yeah, my concern is that, yes, we spent 4 episodes on the first round of this exam, which is essentially like a Battle Royale tournament arc thing, which is the last thing Frieren probably needed.
That's what it is. It's a shonen battle tournament. There's really no other way around it.
Yeah, everybody's got
time for the tuning exams.
And okay, on a positive note, I don't think it's awful.
No,
I think it's. I'm still at no point was like, God, I can't take this anymore. I just want to shut it off. Like I was still, I think, entertained. Partly because Frieren and the production of Frieren continues to be amazing, and partly because they're still digging some interesting world building things into it. Yeah. The whole concept of how magic has evolved over Frieren's lifespan, and what's the hot new thing in magic versus what's my grandpa's style of magic,
right?
And I will always be amused by Frieren and Fern's combat school of thought of I have shield and magic missile, and those are the only 2 spells you need.
I'm just going to cast this at 9th level.
Yeah, I'm just keep catching. They can't dodge him, so I'm just going to keep casting magic missile over and over again.
There is undeniable novelty to this arc, right? Because this is the first time Frieren engages in this type of narrative framework, and because we, the viewer, know that Frieren is the legendary mage, right? One of the greatest wizards to ever live. So the idea of making her take a driver's license exam, essentially, there is fun to that, right? Because clearly this is completely trivial to her, right?
Yeah.
The challenge and tension in this arc is not, oh no, can Frieren pass the test? It is, can she take care of and protect her new fledgling party members, essentially, right? And then the shonen battle tournament part of, look at all these new wizards I drew, and what are their weird powers?
Yeah.
And I think the reason why Iro and I often have couch the language around Frieren the way we do around this arc is because, I'll tell you what, man, Madhouse is doing a lot of heavy lifting on this arc right now, because reading this version of the arc in the manga, kind of rough, right? Because the manga's art, or the manga's not known for its...
The manga is generally quite stiff and, stoic most of the time.
The art is not the thing I would praise Frieren for. The manga,
The anime, on the other hand,
looks so the anime,
yes,
Madhouse's adaptation can really uplift a lot of these moments, but at the end of the day, the issue is still core to the narrative part, which is fighting is the least interesting thing to watch Frieren do. The thing that's interesting about her as a character is her coming to terms with the fleeting mortality of the people she knows in her life, right? Her sense of disconnect from the world around her because it passes by at a different pace than her own.
It's we praise the moment during the last big fight segment. We praise the moment where it glosses over a decade's worth of fighting in 3 frames. Right. And here we're spending 3 episodes on a day's worth of fighting. Right.
Yes. Also, only the first of multiple tests. So,
Right. Yeah, they spent we spent 4 days on catching a bird.
Yes.
And there is some,
not 4 days, 4 episodes.
And there is
1
some
day,
fun
4
stuff.
episodes.
Yeah, there is some fun stuff in
Yeah.
here to be clear, but yeah.
If the entire test was 4 episodes, I'd be fine with it. But like you said, I can already tell, okay, we just spent 4 episodes on round 1. This is probably going to be the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Or at least close to it.
Or most of it anyway, right? And it's this thing where I feel like I've had this editorial brewing in my head for a while, whether it's anime or games or whatever, of like the dangers of straying from what your strengths are. And like, you know, sometimes you have to do it to keep things from getting stale, but also like if you do it too much, it's like, this is not what I came here for.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm running into, whereas like all the things you mentioned, G, are what I felt made Frieren special and, you know, a really great anime up to this point. And again, for what they're doing, I think they're doing a good job. But it's like, this is not what I signed up for when I signed up for Frieren.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, again, I don't mean to let me be clear. I do not think this exam arc is the, like, and this was the end of Frieren, right? Or this was the turning point. Like, no. I think it's more just that, yeah, as you alluded to, Jel, compared to, like, where this manga, or how the story originally sells itself, the exam arc just kind of ends up, like, not leaning into the strengths we associate with these characters and stories. But I will say there are still, you know, some decent moments here and there. You know, the old man mage with the beard, Denkin. He is kind of a fun character. We have not really seen everything he has shown yet, but, like, you know, it is kind of interesting to use him as a contrast to Frieren, because he is probably
the second most experienced mage there.
Yes, the second oldest mage taking that test. And in many ways, he is. It's kind of interesting to see him, because, like, when you think of these Chunin exam style arcs, right? Obviously, it's mostly young people, right? Teenagers. That is definitely what the show is showing you with this exam arc. And you have this, not just an adult man, but a, like, middle-aged to senior adult man taking this exam, and kind of what drives that, and, you know, what basically, like, yeah, like what does somebody with that level of experience bring to a conflict like this, and especially how does someone like that square off against someone like Frieren? I mean, the answer is not well, but, you know, we kind of already knew that part,
right?
And then, of course, the latest episode does end with probably one of my favorite punchlines in Frieren, which is when Dankin's group, bereft of their bird and their mana, still need to get their hands on a bird to pass this test. And Dankin comes from the old school, the old school of wizard mentality that, well, hey, when you're out of spell slots, when you're out of mana, hey, guess what? You still got your fists. You can still throw hands.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
A quarterstaff is what, a D6? Look,
yes. Oh, isn't it a D8 if it's two hands?
D8, sure, yeah. So you can still fight.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. Yeah, there are good moments, and like I said, there's still room for some of the world building and stuff that we like. It just, this is in general, it's not hitting the parts of my brain that I want Frieren to be hitting, right?
Yeah.
So,
and to be clear, like, the manga after this arc does return to, like, the pace it had. It takes a while, right? It's like it's a fairly long arc.
Yeah. I do remember, while I was not ready to, like, shut the thing off, by like somewhere in, like, the third episode of the first round, I'm like, all right, how much longer are we going to drag this? They have the classic shonen anime time stop, where the last 3 hours of the day takes feels like forever.
Yeah.
But they're like, it's 3 hours until sunset, and then, like, 2 episodes later, it's 2.5 hours till sunset. I'm like, come on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it does just feel like I've got all these other characters I got to cram in, and I don't really care about any of them other than, I mean, the old guy is kind of interesting because just having the contrast of, someone else there that understands the more nuances of what it means to be a powerful mage beyond just having high mana and being able to blow stuff up, right? But
yeah, you sort of get the feeling, or at least when I was reading this in the manga, I sort of got the feeling of, let's introduce a bunch of new characters and then see who
gets popular and they can stick around. Yeah,
and then maybe they can hang out a little longer than the rest.
We'll put in.
There definitely does seem to be a little bit of a new OC audition vibe. To this arc.
We'll put in two cold-blooded murderers, but we'll make one kind of nice and one an actual psychopath, and see which one sticks.
Frieren looked at the competition and was like, "Oh crap, we killed Aura. We need a new evil woman to throw into this story." Yeah.
So, anyway,
yep.
It's still good enough. It's fine. I just wish we could have gotten through all of this faster, basically.
Yep.
All right. Let's move on and talk about the Apothecary Diaries. We were just saying before we got on, I feel like, at least in the circles I've been in, this has been kind of slowly building up popularity. I've been seeing it in places outside of normal anime spaces and things, which is interesting. Sure. I'm still again, I'm not watching it, so it still fascinates me why this show of all of the other shows seems to be taking off. But how have things been going? Because it's been a while since we last talked about this.
When was the last time we talked about this show?
I can't help you. I can't help you guys out on this.
It's kind of still been episodic mysteries, right?
Yeah.
I think the last time we talked, we were talking about implications that the main girl might be royalty or something,
or at least the nature of her birth. There's more to it than,
or she might be in line to be something, or I don't know.
And I guess they're still throwing that out too. They haven't just abandoned that
right.
Okay.
I guess I would say as the general tone, I guess, yes, of the last stretch of the Apothecary Diaries has been, yes, it's both mostly episodic adventures, but kind of developing towards this direction of try as best as she can. Mao Mao's position and her knowledge makes it basically impossible for her to escape getting embroiled in court politics.
Right.
There is this vibe that try as she might, no matter how unassuming she tries to make herself, how unpopular she tries to make herself, her fundamental ability to solve problems that other people cannot is getting attention. And it's not just attention from Jinshi, it is getting attention from other members of the court, not in ways that may prove to be dangerous going down the line, basically.
Yeah.
And there's definitely this interesting tension with Jinshi realizing that his favorite toy is starting to attract people's attention, and the ways he feels, mostly jealousy, mostly protectiveness, of the idea that other people are starting to
take notice,
and maybe even start leering at Mao Mao, depending on how you want to read.
There is the new character Lacan, who is your greasy military strategist man who sort of keeps barging into Jinshi's house to tell weird stories. Is he literally
voiced by that guy?
I think so.
Good news, which guy? Jel. Another character voiced by that guy.
Kenjiro Tsuda.
Oh no! I have a whole bit prepared for him this episode.
Yeah, he's also in Sengoku Youko
because he's in a lot of things. But we'll talk about him later.
Look, he has a type.
Well, he might not be him. I need to check.
Here's the only thing I'll say. Because I'm gonna have a whole. I need to explain my relationship with this man later, but it is best that I don't watch Apothecary. It's a good thing I'm not watching Apothecary
it's not
Diaries.
Him. Okay, it's just another greasy VA.
He's doing that voice though. Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Doing the I can't really do his voice, but it's something like, "I'm so evil, but I'm also dead inside
yeah,
and
like-
don't care about anything. That guy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he is sort of I'm not going to say a villain, but a, clearly not positive force.
Antagonist.
Conniving. He's conniving.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's sort of, hanging out with Jinshi, asking, hey, I hear you have a new servant who's real smart. By the way, I brought you a new strange problem for you to solve, Mr. Bureaucrat. It sure would be a shame if your smart new servant could figure out this mystery. Essentially. And that has sort of been a driving force over the past few episodes.
I mean, which is all to say the show still continues to be the, like, pretty good, like, thing it is, right? Like,
yeah.
Right.
I continue to be, like, I mean, hell, to echo Jell's sentiment, hell, I'm surprised I'm still watching this show, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. Like, I'm actually kind of interested in this. And
I would also say it does a really good job at balancing out its humor, which it has, a decent amount of, with some dark moments that you don't always see coming, which is a good thing, because I don't want those kind of telegraphed. But when they appear, it's kind of a shock, but it still works, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think they do a surprisingly good job of utilizing the historical period.
Right.
I would not say the Apothecary Diaries is a historically accurate take on Imperial China.
It is still sort of Gonzo China, right?
Right. Like I someone who has studied like ancient China, I could not tell you confidently what era this show takes place in. Like it's kind of a mishmash of like 3 different dynasties. But but what it does do is
I kind of approach it as a fantasy, historical fantasy in that particular context, which is
right.
fun.
Oh no, totally. Like to bounce off of what you were saying, Artemis. I think the thing the show does a surprisingly good job of, though, is like it does a good job of reminding you every now and then, hey, this is some old world shit, right? With old world opinions, these people have a fundamentally different conception of a lot of things and societal values than we, the modern viewer, might have, and it just throws that in your face from time to time to make you remember like where and when this story takes place.
It can be very jarring, but in a good way, in terms of storytelling.
Yeah.
Also, just shout outs to that episode where Mao Mao like basically gives a class to the like Imperial concubines how to fuck good, I guess.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
Okay. She grew up in the pleasure district. She hung out with all the top courtesans. So she just wheels in the wheelbarrow of Kama Sutras to
basically.
But we, the viewer, also still do not know because it just kind of cuts to like Jinshi
that's the thing.
Trying to like eavesdrop on and failing.
Yeah.
I do like that it is not explicit about it. It's just like just whatever secret techniques, but the fact that it is being taught in like basically a classroom is pretty good.
Right. Every now and again, I think the show does get like slightly fan servicey for me, but never to the point of total kind of
right.
What can I say? Like super explicit,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a show that recognizes that, like, I mean, for better or worse, right? What the societally intended occupation of many of the prominent women in this show, right? Like, many of them are concubines or courtesans, right? Like, and for better or worse, it is a show that recognizes that this is how this particular society values women.
Right.
And so it definitely doesn't shy away from that, but also sometimes it definitely feels like it also wants to have its cake too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like they're still plugging along then.
Yep.
Just good to hear.
Should be following up on some plot threads soon, from what I recall of the manga.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of plugging along, let's talk about Dungeon Meshi / Delicious in Dungeon, if you will.
Dungeon Meshi.
Yeah, two pretty solid episodes. I like. I can feel the build up of like like I said, I've enjoyed the show since episode 1, but I feel like every episode I like it a little bit more, which is always good. In these episodes, I think it was it 3 and 4 or 4 and 5? 4 and 5.
5, I believe.
We get some of the more wacky interpretations of how we can make edible monsters. So like the golem farming was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Where they're like, of course you can't eat a golem, but
they're made of dirt, and
they're made
you know
of
what
dirt.
you can do with dirt? Put seeds in it.
Yeah, which was pretty fun. And then, the second episode being, I guess, killing ghosts with ice cream.
Treasure bugs.
In a way. Oh, and the treasure bugs, right? Yeah. Which were disgusting. But
and then we can't eat a ghost, but how can we use a ghost to make something that we can eat?
Yeah.
And I do think that episode was that like our first time of getting any like significant screen time for Laos' sister.
Yes,
yeah.
This is kind of
sort of. Yeah.
I thought they would go the whole way purposefully without showing much, if any, of her face. I thought it would be one of those.
Yeah.
Like shonen shows do it all the time, where there's
right.
character and they'll show the photograph, but that particular part of the photograph is always like torn off or burnt away.
Right. I think the intent. Yeah, definitely. I would say the intent of like episode 5 is definitely to like, now that we kind of have this established formula, right? Of, Laios wants to eat monster, Senshi wants to cook monster, Chilchuck and Marcel do something funny, right? Like, now that we have this established dynamic, the show finally has like a chance to be like, okay, let's actually examine like, why do these people want to rescue Fallen so badly, right? Like, beyond just the fact that it's Laios' sister, why would these other two come along, right? Like, how much they valued her, they appreciated her presence, how much she meant to them as a person.
Yeah.
And it kind of works, right? Because like, there's many aspects of Fallen that like, she is not a Mary Sue. I'm not going to like make that kind of like accusation, but there's aspects of like, she's almost like too damn angelic for her own good, but like, it kind of works as a contrast to the rest of these like dirtbags and ne'er-do-wells, right? Like, like Laios is so like just does not know what to do without Fallen to bail him out of situations.
Right.
Yeah.
I do also wonder how much of that of her character being obviously absent, that the others are kind of looking at it from a sort of rose-tinted glasses. Like... Yeah,
they're only remembering, like, the best of her, right?
I'm not saying unreliable narrator so much as just what people naturally do, that when something you appreciated is gone, you are more likely to see the good things than the flaws.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely an aspect of human nature.
So, yeah, I mean, there you can make arguments on how you handle that type of character. I think it is. I think I do like kind of seeing more of her, because it's easy for us to intellectually understand why Laios would want to save his sister. I mean, that makes sense on paper, but us as the audience kind of seeing what kind of person she is kind of also gets us more emotionally invested into it. Like,
we also need to care about who she is and why we the audience want her back or want to see more of her at the very least.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad they sprinkle some of that in, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it other than that, and we continue to see the kind of bonding going on with our main party, and I always love the creative ways they've come up with how to make these monsters edible in some way.
By these 2 episodes, like they have fully embraced the like, oh yeah, mushrooms and scorpions, that's easy.
That's easy.
Now
those are still animal things.
Yeah.
Right. And the humor's good, as we've kind of mentioned. Like,
so there's
I saw it coming a mile away, but I still laughed when Senshi is like, "Oh, these gem bugs are not edible," and then you just like later on, "Oh, well, they're real gems. That's why you can't eat them." He's throwing them away.
Likewise, I did see it coming quite a ways off before the whole fertilizer thing with the golem episode. But it was it still landed. It landed because the timing was still solid enough that it worked as a joke.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the thing that like Trader definitely deserves credit for handling this adaptation, because these jokes are obviously in the manga as well, but like, many of the best jokes in Dungeon Meshi are kind of in that more old school, like, establish the joke, tee it up, and then punchline.
Yeah.
And I think it takes a good like handle of comedic timing to do that stuff well. But also I think there's a lot of like moments in these two episodes where also like it almost feels like the studio is getting more comfortable with kind of twisting the source material in its own fun ways. The obligatory really good Marcille joke of episode 5, right, is she finds the pearl necklace that turns into a centipede.
Yeah.
And the frame just zooms out. Which was especially funny because we had just watched the Gurren Lagann movie, which ends similarly, where the camera just endlessly zooms out until you can't see it anymore.
It's possible I could do
flash,
It's possible I could do a dumb Marcille face every podcast header, every episode.
There's a lot of good ones.
It's the good ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, shout outs.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Episode 5 introduces Kabaru and his party.
Yes, the the new party. Which
are we going to see them again?
They're in the opening.
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess.
Well, no, that's all we got. That's all I wanted to highlight. Is just we were introduced to a new. Well, we were introduced to a new crew, and then we say goodbye to them in the span of like 5 minutes.
I guess they have distinct enough designs that I should be able to tell that they're going to appear again. But yes,
I mean, more the fun thing about them is like they can't, at least here when they get introduced, is like if you look closely, they are kind of just a mirror for Laios' party, right?
Right.
You have the human fighter leader, the mage lady, the dwarven fighter warrior, I guess. The half-foot rogue, right? And then a couple others. But and I think like that actually does a pretty good job of like, because it might be easy watching Laios and the crew explore this dungeon and kind of, I mean, it is a comedy. It is meant to be treated in a lighthearted manner, but Kabaru's party kind of establishes and reminds you, hey, this place is dangerous. People die here all the time.
Yeah. It does help to like establish that as sort of dumb and bumbling as Laios and his team are, they are actually quite experienced and
right. I mean, they were one of the few parties to make it down to the Red Dragon. So
that show continues to be quite fun. I'm enjoying it. I don't really even have any notes. Just it's a fun show.
It's good.
All right, let's talk about solo leveling.
I'm surprised this one's still on the list.
Artemis, you are still watching this, and I'm curious.
All right.
As to why.
Okay. So, all right. So I will say that I did, and this is, I know it sounds like such an excuse, but genuinely, I started watching for work purposes. So bear that in mind.
Okay.
But I only had to watch up to episode 3, I believe, for technically speaking. So I could have stopped there, and I did not. And I guess I really just wanted to know not only why everyone was so hyped up before the show started, but why everyone continues to be hyped up now that the show is settled in. I'm normally one of those people who, like, I think the 3-episode rule is absolute bullshit. Like, it makes no sense. A show needs 5 minutes. I'm giving you 5 minutes.
Right.
I'm
to
busy.
give you something. Yeah.
Let's go. Like, if it doesn't captivate you in a few minutes, that's a problem with the storytelling. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
let's not waste any time. But this time I thought, no, there is just so much hype. I will give it truly an honest shot to prove itself. And if it takes more time to really settle in and prove what it's all about, then I will give it that chance. Well, it sucks.
So it has failed.
Whew, okay, I'm wiping sweat off my brow now.
It has, and I will write it off here. I will say that it's funny, unintentionally funny, just because it treats itself with such stone cold seriousness. But in episode 5, like the main character has undergone his I guess his main transition into wimpy main character with no backbone and no particular skills to speak of, to like he had a full personality implant. Like the episode starts off with close-up shots of like his abs as he's working out, and then like listening sweat from his biceps and as he's doing sit-ups in his hospital room, and then the nurse comes in and sees him with his shirt off, and she's like, I just came to check up on you.
He's moved fully from virgin to Chad.
Yeah.
His voice is suddenly quite a bit deeper than I remember from the previous episode.
Sure. Gosh.
When you next see him go into a dungeon, he is just acting like basically a completely different character. And
I've seen some people compare it to Devil Man. His like transformation personality wise.
It is laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
And I did laugh. Was I meant to laugh? I doubt that very much, but I did. So points for that, I guess.
I mean, it's probably supposed to be like, oh man, this guy is so cool, right? Like,
right. Well, it's supposed to be a classic, like I can see that it's got more power fantasy vibes than Sword Art Online. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, really leaning into it.
Nerdy weakling turns into
hot in an almost absurdist kind of manner, except it's not. That's the thing. Like, it's not a parody. It's not. It does come across as a parody of itself, but it's not treated that way by any of the creators.
Poe's Law, right? I mean,
right. Yeah. So now I am done.
Okay.
And I will strike this off the list. But I just want to, for the record, to any Solo Leveling fans, I watched a good chunk of this show. I gave it my best. Don't say I judged too fast.
Yeah. Certainly if it's not by episode 5, then it ain't
the strongest yet.
I don't know. Probably not. I'm sure. Surely not. There's one shot also in the latest episode where the actual top people are training at a gym. And it's just like a 2-minute, if that, maybe 1 minute kind of scene where you see them all like, punching bags and whatnot.
Of course.
And then there's like the lead guild master or whatever. You just hear this loud like boom, and the gym shakes and someone freaks out, what's that? Thinking like there's a monster attacking. And his spotter or whoever is like, oh, that's just guildmaster training. It happens all the time.
Oh my god!
And you cut to the guildmaster, who's also, I think, shirtless and just like made a, I don't know, like in his special training room, made a hole in the stone wall or whatever. With nothing but his bare fist.
Of course.
Yeah.
My goodness. Just again, like. I brought this up last time when I was talking about, like, with Sengoku Youko, which we'll get to, but it's like, I feel like with episode 1 of Sengoku Youko, my sort of claim was you cannot see the full arc of the story from the beginning of that show necessarily. It needs time to fully get through itself. And whereas Solo Leveling, I'm like, I can in fact see the entire arc of the story from the first episode, and I know I don't give a shit.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Glad to know we were all right.
Yes, we were all right.
applaud.
Everyone was right. We were correct.
we do applaud.
I applaud your courage in sticking with it that long.
Perseverance.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Go weep, cry, now. Yeah.
We can put that that one away now.
Yeah. Oh, and I read volume 1.
Oh my goodness!
Of the manhwa.
The webtoon.
I'm really doing the work here.
Yeah.
Which I got sent for free.
Oh, okay.
This is like the time I played the first 3 Uncharted games out of spite, just so I could say that they're bad.
I no longer have time for such endeavors.
We can't get into that. So
Eero and I.
Volume 1 took about 10 minutes to get through, so it wasn't a big deal. I will say very quickly that the anime really, really amps up the violence.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like the manhwa. I'm not going to say it's family friendly. And you see the violence happening, but it's not in particularly explicit detail, and you just kind of imagine.
It's like PG-13 violence.
Right. But the anime specifically, I think it was episode 2, is like, I guess the closest I can come to it for a mainstream anime is probably like Attack on Titan, maybe. In terms of like guts flying, limbs being severed, people being split down the middle, screaming is vaporization. Like,
This feels like it perfectly tracks with like the intended target audience of this show.
Or maybe what's it? It's like an older show, and I hate it. No, shoot. I rant about it all the time because I hate it so much, even though I somehow watched the whole series.
Let's see.
With the alien ball that comes and there's a human inside.
Gantz.
Thank you, Gantz. I don't know how I forgot the title.
Just talk about a weird orb. I'm like, yep, that's probably Gantz.
It's like that kind of level of violence. Like it goes on mainstream TV, but only barely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, we can, like I said, we can put that one to rest then.
I guess you don't have a sign of affection for solo leveling.
Okay.
Knee slap.
Yeah. Well, yes. Let's talk about something more pleasant, and talk about a sign of affection, which
not that much more pleasant. I got a little beef with the show.
Okay. Yeah, so Artemis, you have not had a chance to talk about this yet, so go ahead. You can share your feelings.
For the record, I don't hate it or anything. I'm not like, this show is the worst. It's perfectly fine. It's very watchable. There are some moments that are enjoyable. I think that some parts of it lean too much into the kind of traditional shoujo kind of vulnerable main female lead, and a love triangle's definitely being set up, and one of the guys is obviously the quote unquote bad choice, and the other guy is just a bit too touchy feely for my tastes. That
is a little borderline with the main guy.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's there's anything I'm kind of morally repulsed by or anything close to
I mean, I've seen way worse, but
right, of course.
He does push the boundaries a little with the touchy-feeliness. Yeah.
But I don't know, just for every moment that I really genuinely appreciate, there's another moment that's like, oh, that didn't really need to happen.
Yeah.
Or just I'm not even talking in a moral kind of a sense, but just a storytelling sense. The way some characters are portrayed is not original or
like the so we talked about last time about the main girl's childhood friend guy who I hate,
right?
And because he's supposed to be like, oh, he's mean to her, but he actually really loves her or whatever. He's being protective, even though he told her that deaf people shouldn't go to college.
Guess what? The main male guy also has a childhood friend who.
Yes.
It just.
Yeah. So she gets introduced in this block of episodes, and she like what is she? She like shows up at his house like after the trains have stopped with some beer, and she's like.
Whoa.
She's like, you know what this is,
Damn.
like,
Right.
like she's coming on a little strong,
Mhm.
and he just kind of shuts that down. But she's has not given up apparently from the latest episode either. So yeah, it's the whole like it's really annoying in this show, I think, because for one, yes, it is the cliche we're setting up the legally mandated romantic rivals for the main characters, right? But then they're also like they have like zero chance in hell like
Right.
of anything actually happening, so we're just wasting our time with it. Like when they ask Yuki, the main girl, about the her childhood friend guy, she's like, what? I don't even talk to that guy. And she kind of doesn't like he is like completely
Right.
a non-factor.
They just kind of bump into each other every now and again, and it
Yeah,
is like
and then-
basically coincidence whenever it happens.
and then like with the other girl that's like coming on to the main guy, like when she pulls that stunt, he's like, all right, here's the key, you can leave it when you leave or whatever. I'm gonna go stay with my friend's house, don't ever do this again, and just leaves, right? Like there's just like no chance of anything happening. And it's
I
like
will say with the follow-up to that in the most recent episode where she sees the two main characters getting out of the elevator,
yeah
and she and and the main girl is walking to go downstairs because he said, I'll see you downstairs in a second, and then the rival says like loudly on purpose, thank you for like
Yes.
or like it was good that we stayed over the other night.
yes, thanks for letting me stay,
Like,
right.
but of course, like that is not picked up on by our main character because
She's yeah, right.
that was a good bit, I think.
That was pretty funny. But yeah, it's like and but they're still trying to use it to stir up like the shoujo romance
but
drama,
it's
right?
still for a motive that it just is. It's not even just that it's cliche,
Yeah.
or just that I feel like as college students, do we really have to kind of go back to this more kind of immature sort of thing that you would expect from any high school,
Right.
drama, slice of life, romance, whatever. But
Yeah.
just the characters have the potential to be so much more. But the show kind of drags them down needlessly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me it's like the part about everything kind of revolving around Yuki's situation and her trying to teach the main guy sign language, and that part of the relationship I think is kind of sweet and feels a little more unique. But like everything else around it is just like the most like standard like romance show stuff going on. And even like a lot of Yuki's inner monologue about he's talking when they're like, yeah, he talks about you so affectionately and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. But
he is falling snow to my like whatever
yeah
energy.
Yeah, I'm just very like I just as a blanket term I call it Hollywood romance, but I mean you can apply it to anime or whatever.
Right,
like that whole like all that kind of stuff is just does not do it for me. But yeah, so I mean it's been kind of borderline. I've mostly still been watching it. I don't know if I'm gonna keep going with it, but I do think
I will.
I do think. I mean, I don't think it's like a terrible show, like you said. Like it's. I mean, it's obviously been good enough for us to watch 3 or 4 episodes or however whatever.
Right.
But so I mean, I think there are people that'll like it and probably want to stick with it. For me, I don't know.
I think its biggest crime for me is that it's mediocre when it should be good. Based on its premise and its
that always hurts more than
it does not feel right because if a show is trash, then it's easy to just say, all right, this show sucks, I'm not watching it. But when it's not living up to the potential, that's always worse. But I did enjoy them going to fake Costco. That was fun.
Yes, Costco.
Yes.
Wait, the show takes place in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's Costco in Japan.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Or there's at least I don't know if I think there's Costco in Japan. Yeah, there's Costco in Japan. There's not many, but there are. And
I feel like this is I feel like it's not the first time I've seen it in anime, but
there's
fine.
There's at least 1 or 2 Costco's in Japan, and maybe just as importantly, if you go to a supermarket, they will get in Costco goods, so you can pick up some of this brand in this.
Wait, like they just have like Kirkland brand stuff at supermarkets in Japan?
Yeah, sometimes.
That's wild.
I used to like on the first Friday of every month, I would rush from work to the supermarket to get the pasta and pizza while it was still there, because that was the day they stopped the Costco.
Do they have the do they have the $1.50 hot dogs?
Yeah.
No, they don't.
No,
Well, no, because it would be the like
100 yen hot dog.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They at least at the Costco that I went to.
Well, it'd have to be like
didn't.
It'd have to be like a 300 yen hot dog to be $1.
Yeah, I know these days.
But
they had the massive pizzas, and they had the big pasta bowl things.
I will say the most
off track.
the most important part of that was that they got a pizza from Costco.
Yes.
Which
For
is one
two?
of your best.
Yeah, very realistic.
One of your best values for your dollar is a
Yeah.
Costco pizza. Yeah.
I mean, for 2 people, that pizza will last you basically a week.
Dude, you have no idea how much pizza I can eat.
And the fact that they are all college students, it makes sense to me. It was like, I get this realism. I'm there for that.
No,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
So that was a fun detail. But yeah. All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about Sengoku Youko.
I'm begging you, everyone, stay with me. Don't go.
All right, everybody. I think now's a good time for a bathroom break. I think we can all.
No. Wait.
So this episode has been a mix of basically the evil monks chasing what's his name around
Jinka,
back and forth, Jinka back and forth. We do get I think it was that was in these episodes, right, where we get our new fourth party member.
Shakugan joins.
Yeah,
the party.
Shakugan joins.
Formerly Big Rock Monster.
Formerly Big Rock Monster, now
anime girl. Yep.
As you do.
You know how these things go.
And then in the latest episode, we get the fight with the
samurai, the Ronin hitman.
The Ronin hitman guy coming after Jinka, who also pulls the "I'm out of magic, I'm going to fight you with my regular sword."
Except that's like portrayed as way more intimidating. Like,
yes, which was fun.
I don't even need my magic. I'll just kill you with my regular sword.
Yeah, I will. Okay, so let me. I don't know how everybody else is feeling about this so far. For me,
I'm
again,
too biased, right? Like,
again, coming in with no context other than I haven't read the manga, but having the context of experiencing other Mizukami works, I will say that you could definitely see the Mizukami showing in these episodes with Jinka's sort of character growth into, not hating humans or whatever that they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
I will also say, I feel like if I'm being totally honest, the sort of Mizukami blind optimism is not working as well for me in this situation.
Right.
And a lot of the talk about justice and everybody just pay it forward and maybe in 1,000 years we'll save that. Those are great sentiments. I don't. But maybe I'm just getting older and more cynical, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm tired.
You need to hear it from a really fucked up guy for it to hit anymore. You need to hear it from Thorfinn for it to have any meaning.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is, and not like
is sort of being portrayed as like willfully naive. Earlier.
Yeah, no, I get it. There's more nuance to it than that. Yeah. So like, I think it's more of a me problem than the content. Mm-hmm. But
I don't disagree.
I think it is that thing, right, of like, it's a thing we've always like struggled to explain, right, is like the unique appeal of Mizukami's writing, right, because on its surface it is very it is a pretty bog standard shonen so far, right? Yeah. Like you can see the building blocks of every aspect of the story, or at least what you believe the story to be, right? Like, Jinka is this misanthropic anti-hero, but like through the power of friendship, he'll learn value human life. Shunsuke is a fucking loser, but maybe one day he'll stop being such a loser. And it's like, yes, this clearly, like, that's where these like character arcs are going. And as always with Mizukami, the devil is in the details. And I think, if I recall correctly, like, Sengoku Youko is kind of the slow start of his stories, right? Like, it's
I'd say so.
It's definitely the one where it takes a little bit of time to get wound up. I think.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be getting there soon because they are talking about introducing,
the 4 beast generals,
the evil 4 bad guys that exist in every piece of media, and usually that's when shit starts getting real.
Yeah.
But I do sympathize. Like, I think the anime adaptation is doing, like, it is a competent, capable adaptation of the source material, but, like, I don't think it alone is necessarily doing the job of, like, perfectly, like, communicating the appeal of Mizukami's writing just yet.
Yeah. It's like, it's such a tricky thing, because, like, to accomplish what Mizukami accomplishes, you have to have the time. And I don't know how you would fix it. Like, on the one hand, like, I could totally understand somebody having no context and just thinking this is just your standard, middle of the road shonen story. And, as Artemis was saying before, like, if you haven't got me by 4 or 5 episodes, like I don't.
Are you gonna have me in for another 20? Like,
but like on the because this is going how many?
It's going to be 3 cores.
Yeah, so at least 36 episodes or something. Yeah. So it's like, but on the other hand, I don't know how you build the kind of payoffs that Mizukami has without taking that amount of time.
Right.
So, like. I don't know what the solution is for that.
I had a conversation with Iro about this the other day, though we were talking about Dungeon Meshi, but which I don't think I would not say. I mean, I would call Dungeon Meshi also a slow burn, right?
Sure,
in some sense, right?
But its appeal is, like, clear from the get go. I think
its appeal is made more apparent from the get go, but I do think the details of, like, if you only watch the first 3 episodes of Dungeon Meshi, you don't really understand why me and Iro will unironically say Kui Ryoko is one of the greatest manga writers ever.
Right.
Like, you would probably say, "Oh, Dungeon Meshi, it's a
it's fun."
Manga,
but like, I'm not
like,
right.
Yeah. Where
we're not talking
praise comes from. And
yeah.
I think much of that is found similar to Mizukami in the build-up. And we were talking about this specifically in conversation with adaptations, because we were comparing shows like Dungeon Meshi and, I guess, Sengoku Youko to something like Metallic Rouge, which is a 1-core anime original. Or even like something like a Vinland Saga, which is a 2-season adaptation. And how, in a lot of ways, adaptations do get the privilege of maybe being allowed to be slow burns, if that makes sense, because they are adapting established source material and are hoping that fans will stick with the anime because of the source material. And it's like, it's fine if we spend like 7 episodes episodically building up these characters slowly, because you know what's coming later. Whereas anime originals often do feel that very high pressure to, like, get you in the door in the first 10 minutes. Because without, like, an established IP to lean on, it fears it will lose the viewers that much quicker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, on the flip side, though, like, if you're making an anime, I would just imagine you'd have some expectation that the goal would be to bring in people who haven't already read the manga, because otherwise, why are you bothering to make an anime?
Also, so like relatively older. It's a relatively old.
Yeah, so it does take. I can see what you're saying. I mean, it does take some of the pressure off, but certainly not all of it. I mean, you know, the goal would be to expand your audience, I would think, with a new medium. But yeah, I mean, so I think I still. I still enjoyed the episodes. They're fine. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of action.
It's a shonen fight series, right? Like,
which is like, and the action is like ranges from okay to good, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
It's none of it looks awful, but like it's it is what
It's
it is.
fine. Yeah.
And the moment with the dude pulling out the regular sword was kind of fun. That was cool. But yeah, it's a little hard to like if I didn't have the hope of this having a big payoff later, I don't know, man.
Right. I understand.
Yeah, because like I'm even struggling to think of any other specific moments like that happened in those episodes,
Right.
like other than like some of the fight scenes or whatever. But I will say, if no one has any other comments on these episodes, what my true worry is,
By all means,
with Sengoku Youko, and
go ahead.
And by way of broader problem. So
Yes,
we already started talking about a certain voice actor,
yeah,
Kenjiro Tsuda.
yes.
Who, nothing personal against the man. If you check his Wikipedia, he might be the hardest working man in show business. He is all over the place. Not just anime. He's doing everything, but
somebody has to sound like a dirtbag. It has to be somebody's job.
Yeah,
it's true.
So I have mentioned ever since 2020's Appare Ranman, where he appears as the main villain.
Yep.
I cannot stand this man's voice. And I started digging a little deeper because he showed up a lot for me since the last episode, whether it's well, we'll get into all the places that he has shown up for me over the past 2 weeks, but I started digging deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And I have discovered what I'm going to call the curse of Kenjiro Tsuda.
Okay, all right.
Uh-oh.
Every show, and it's a lot, that I've watched with him in it since Appare Ranman either had a good concept or started good and then completely fell apart into something that I did not like. And you guys should be lucky that I did not watch It Invaded because he's the main character in It Invaded.
Yeah.
But it seems to be, only the shows I
was good. So.
That's what I'm saying. It seems to be only the shows when I watch them and he's in them that they fall apart. Because there's a lot of shows he's in so many shows. There was a lot of shows he was in that I didn't watch. So I'm gonna read you a list that I put together. And again, this is only going back to 2020. Appare Ranman.
Yep.
So that's the first one.
Yep.
Bad.
He's in Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yep, he's no.
To be fair, I like his character in Jujutsu Kaisen, but
that show is now bad.
he's dead now in that show.
Yeah,
so.
He's dead anyway, right? So, you guys remember Magatsu Varheit?
Oh yeah,
I remember Magatsu Varheit.
Oh yeah,
I watched the end of that show.
Hell yeah, we watched Magatsu Varheit.
That one fell apart.
Yeah.
Bad.
God.
To Your Eternity, unfortunately.
Yep, he's the beholder or whatever, the entity. Yeah.
Okay. You guys probably won't remember Dragon Goes House Hunting, but I did try to watch that. That was the one with I
vaguely remember that one.
It was like a video gamey show where the main character is a scaredy cat dragon trying to
yes, I remember
and teams up with a scam artist, real estate agent.
Does he voice the real estate agent?
I don't remember. I think he voiced the dragon's dad or something. But
sure.
That show, I watched it because I thought it was going to be funny, and then that was one of the worst things I've ever watched. That was the one that it had so much video game stuff that when the dragon said, "I never learned to fly," he instead said, "I never learned the fly skill." Anyway, that show sucked, and he was in that, and I watched it. Sunny Boy, he was in that.
Oh my, wow, Sunny Boy.
I remember that. Not very good.
But I see he was in you guys' favorite anime adaptation of all time.
Oh, I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
No, I know what's coming because I know who he voices in what show. It's getting there.
I'm getting there. Pirate Princess.
Oh god.
Okay.
Oh man.
What a world.
Sabakui Bisco.
Very bad. His role in that was interminable.
Okay.
Oh god, that's right. Yeah.
We now get to, unfortunately, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer.
Yep.
He's a very major character in that.
He is the lizard.
He's the lizard in that. And loved the manga, but we all know how we feel about the anime. he has a bit part in Chainsaw Man, but the anime. I did not like the anime adaptation. I don't think we've made it clear we don't like the anime adaptation of Chainsaw Man.
He's like fake Mads Mikkelsen in Chainsaw Man.
Yes.
Oh, he's Kishibe, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Not a very big part, but he's in there. And then finally we get to this season.
Yeah.
Where we're going to talk. I'm not going to talk about Metallic Rouge too much next yet because it's coming up very soon on the list. But I dropped that show on episode 3 where he plays a prominent part in that episode as the like shady doctor guy or whatever the hell he is. And then of course he does appear in Sengoku Youko.
Yes.
As
Yazen, the asshole like mad scientist man.
Yes. And so those two came up on me over the past 2 weeks, and then to cap it off, I was playing Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, and I was in a boss fight. It was one of those boss fights where you're supposed to lose because the guy's too powerful, right? And so this guy kicks my ass, and it goes to the cutscene, and he's looking down on me, and he's like, "You're not worthy." I'm like, no. Voice.
Oh man.
You know what? I have not enjoyed the game as much since.
You can't escape it.
I can't escape. He's cursed me.
Everywhere. Yeah.
He's everywhere, and he's cursing me.
But he's only cursed you like what, post 2020? I mean,
I just named like a dozen anime though.
No, but like granted, there's a lot. But if you go back, and I do mean quite a ways back, I know there are some shows here we all liked that 91 Days.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So it is only
Lupin Part 5.
You guys loved Ping Pong. Come on.
I didn't watch that one.
Yeah. No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. All right.
I did watch 91 Days, so I'll give you that one. So there is a cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, Tiger Bunny. Yeah. Well,
Tiger
okay.
Bunny,
Well, no. Tiger Bunny fell apart hard.
Oh no.
Flip flappers.
Tiger Bunny is good in places.
Flip flappers.
Flip flappers. Okay, I'll give you that one. Yeah.
Lupin Part 5.
Okay, and he was Seto Kaiba in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yes, I'm well aware of this one.
Yeah,
I know the world's biggest Seto Kaiba fan, and they will never let me forget it.
Yeah. So apparently it's only from a Pare Ranman on, but anyway, I'm hoping
just that much of a stinker. Like it cursed everything to follow.
Just permanently poisoned the well.
That's fair.
I'm hoping Sengoku Youko will be the one to break the curse for me, but
I hope so. It'd be nice.
So far, there's still hope. I'll put it that way. But yeah, shout out to Kenjiro Tsuda. Nothing personal.
A toast.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Okay. Let's talk about Cherry Magic. 30 Years of Virginity can make you a wizard. I was on the fence about watching more of this. I kind of more so ran out of time. I was going to at least give it another episode or two, so I have not watched past episode 1. But Artemis, you've been keeping up with it?
Yeah, I'll make it quick because it's not by any means necessarily a big standout show. But what has been standout about it for me is that it is possibly one of the least offensive shows on this season's slate, which is saying quite a lot given the title of the show.
When you say least offensive, what do you mean in this context?
I mean it is I feel like the title implies that there's gonna that the whole joke is gonna be that he's 30 years old and a virgin, haha, kind of, like what a loser, like he can't even score in 30 years sort of thing, which is really not the joke at all. It is a comedic anime, and I guess I would call it a rom-com, but the joke isn't that he's a virgin or that he's 30. You know what I mean? Like that's
right.
Just not the point at all. And
right.
So, honestly, it's a terrible title. Like it just makes you think all the wrong things.
Yeah, we got into that last episode of our theoretical what would the show be based on the title scenarios.
But no, it is like pretty wholesome, to be honest. Like
yeah. Yep.
And it doesn't break the wheel anime or storytelling in general? No, not really. Is it a pretty good boys love anime specifically? Yeah, it kind of is because exactly because it does not lean into those really troublesome tropes and cliches that
Right.
boys love in particular, and other genres too, not just that. But let's be honest, boys love is pretty infamous for certain character archetypes and relationship dynamics that are
And
not
problems
healthy
with
or-
consent.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And this kind of just doesn't go there at all. And no character is ever the butt of a joke in an unpleasant way either. So while I don't necessarily have a whole lot to say about the anime overall, I think it is worth a decent shot if romance and or boys love is your thing. I think the appeal might even be broad enough for non-boys love fans.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
I enjoyed the first episode. I mean, I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I think it even does get a little better. Not
Okay.
like I think if you watch the first episode and anyone hated it, they would not want to keep watching. It doesn't, reverse course and change into a different genre or something. But
Right.
um,
It's still going to give you a pretty good indicator of what you're getting into.
yeah, I think it actually goes up a little bit in terms of its storytelling, and I've been overall pleasantly surprised by how like genuinely kind of sweet it is.
How does this compare to the My New Boss is Goofy from last season?
Well, I feel like My New Boss is Goofy. I mean, it wasn't explicitly boys love, and I think it could have been interpreted truly honestly either way. Whereas this is
Right.
like very obviously like, it doesn't make any bones about it. Like, it's a boys love show. It's marketed
Right.
specifically towards that crowd, but it does have, I guess, that kind of similar wholesome vibe to it, minus the trauma. Like, there's not really any trauma here. It's probably more lighthearted in that particular sense.
Right.
The quote unquote trauma is that he has these powers where if he touches someone, he can read their thoughts, and that's more often than not a bother or embarrassing or,
Right.
just really, really inconvenient to have.
Right.
And then in the most recent episode, it's revealed that his friend, who works at a different company, who has also just turned 30, can now also read the thoughts of other people, and so the second couple into it.
So this is just a thing you get when you're...
I guess
as the title says.
Yeah, I guess it's a thing.
Yeah.
And then they're going to set him up with, like, his delivery guy, I guess, like his mailman.
So does that imply the other main guy, like the guy he's in love with or whatever, may or may not also have the powers?
I don't think so, because, well, I mean, it could. It actually, I mean, because they never really say, and it's mostly from the main character's point of view.
Yeah, because we don't really ever hear his inner monologue unless he's getting his mind read, right?
Right, exactly. But it could go there. That would be interesting. I didn't actually think of that. But
it'd be the twist.
Right, but he's portrayed at least as this very popular, right, has never lacked for attention in his life. And I think it was the most recent episode, there's a flashback to his childhood, which did make me laugh a little bit and cringe a little bit, because it was basically like, I am so beautiful, people won't leave me alone. Even as a child, I could not escape.
It's such a
curse of this beautiful
really hard
face.
problems to deal with. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's my prediction. That'll be the twist near the end, that he's also been reading the other guy's mind.
I will report back on it, I guess. I'll probably watch this all the way through to the end. I don't think it's one of those shows that you necessarily have a lot to talk about at the end of every episode, because
it's a lot of it is just like normal slice of life.
Right, there's not
really
any like shock, new plot development. Like, the plot is just what you get in episode 1, and it just kind of continues on. Right?
Have they moved in together yet?
No. No.
There hasn't.
They have
I'm not.
not.
And I'm thinking in the.
Probably
I'm thinking
won't
in.
because I feel like they're going to milk the tension.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking in the convenient plot reason makes them have to move in together type of.
There's been convenient plot reasons where they've spent the night together, like at the boss's house, I think.
Right.
But it was done, and it will probably continue to be done to really like get as much of that tension, like sexual tension, out as it possibly can without being explicit about it.
Yeah, I guess that is different than the my new boss is goofy because there is actual explicit romantic tension, right? So there's more implication to them moving in together than but
exactly.
All right.
But it's surprisingly solid. So shout out. I
might try to give that another episode or two.
Cherry magic.
Yeah. If I'm not going to keep going with a sign of affection, I might give that another episode or two. We'll see.
Yeah,
I'm running out of things to watch, so. All right, let's talk about Metallic Rouge.
The moment has come for fighting.
Yes. Jel, is it your fault?
Arrived for fighting.
According to your curse, is it because you watch this show?
Yes.
Is it your fault that it's going to shit?
Yes.
Oof.
This
show.
Everyone blame Jel for this.
This show feels.
It's my curse to bear. I apologize.
This show feels like it was planned for 2 cores and got cut down to 1 core.
Yes.
Okay.
Is how it feels to me because go ahead, Jel.
Yeah, go ahead. You can finish your thought first. Yeah.
Episode 4 has the big Rouge must come to terms with all that she's done. She's confronted with the sins of her past and must reckon with whether she truly has free will or is merely a tool of Alethea or whatever.
We are on episode 4.
Yeah. And like it's bringing up, because as we noticed and brought up about episode 1, it's like Viola, who she fights in episode 1, is like the third of the Immortal 9 that she has killed. There have been two previous like whole ass arcs that were off screen.
Right.
And like to an extent that's fine. I can appreciate some in media res, throw us into the deep end, we'll figure it out. Storytelling, I have no problems with that. But when it's episode 4 and we're trying to do the like full story midpoint, like Rouge must confront these things about herself, and like the illusionist villain is bringing her all of the images of these people she's killed, these people we have never seen before with bespoke designs.
So I'm just sitting at the screen going, who?
Yeah, these just like via inference, I'm like, oh yes, the other 2 members of the Immortal 9 that were stated to have been killed off screen, but there's no emotional weight there, right?
No,
it feels like it's a short story.
As Iro alluded to, this feels like it should have been this would have been episode 9 or 10 of a 26 episode TV series.
Yeah.
And because this is 1 core, they are just like rushing all the like plot points that come part and parcel with this specific type of story.
So even the like argument between Rouge and Naomi is like, it feels like it happens episode 8 or something, right?
I would also posit that this is one of those rare shows where I think it would really benefit if it had just dropped on Netflix the whole load, because watching this once a week
you might be right.
Absolutely just the nail in the coffin.
The rare case for binge watching on this one.
Yeah. It's really doing the show no favors, because I clicked on it, the most recent episode I clicked to watch, and I was just like, I don't remember anything that happened last week, and I'm suddenly picking up again in the middle of the action. I just
a lot of it is not remembering because you didn't actually see it, right?
But it just increases. It just increases that sense of disorientation and that sense of standing too far back from any kind of emotional response, or even just what.
Right, and it was funny because like an episode ago, I was giving the show maybe too much credit, and I was like, oh, is this like deliberately trying to evoke like how Rouge feels because her like memory's being wiped after each time?
Oh yeah, that's
keep her
too much
compliant. And
Yeah.
I'm going like, no, I was thinking about this way too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't even get to. So I didn't make it to episode 4 because I thought episode 3 was so bad. Where
They go into the robo slums.
Yes, they go into the robo slums so that Rouge can learn about robot oppression. And
which we
coincidentally,
didn't know from previous episodes.
I mean, I know it wasn't his first appearance, but it's also Kenjiro Tsuda's character shows up prominently in that episode, and it was so like ham-fisted in the way it was trying to like hammer home this moral lesson to Rouge that it was like, all right, this show is already on thin ice for me. Like, I can see this is not. They do not have the chops to handle this. I'm out. I'm not going to bother. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree that much of Metallic Rouge's problems are that it's simply not very well written. Like, there's really no way to get around that. But I also think this is a show that is not particularly helped by its pacing. And again, this is all speculation. We don't actually know if Metallic Rouge was cut down for size or was cut for time. This is just the way it looks to us. But
right. Just the way it feels.
Yeah. But what this did remind me of, funnily enough, was Trigun Stampede. Another show that did a very similar format of our hero has to fight a bunch of jacked up weirdos, but fighting those jacked up weirdos will allow us to examine the tortured humanity of our protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, another show failed by its pacing because of its runtime. I think about, and I think that's why, again, I'm not here to like say, oh, if Metallic Rouge had 26 episodes, it would be well written. Like, it might still be badly written even with a full runtime, but I think it is extra hurt by the fact that I think many of its plot points can work, but they only work when you're actually invested in the characters and their motivations, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
I think the moment in episode 4 where, again, since you didn't watch it, Jel, basically the villain of the week is an illusionist gimmick, Psycho Mantis. He can make illusions,
Right.
and he generates illusory versions of the other members of the Immortal Nine that Rouge has fought and killed. And this is really funny because the Trigun manga has a character very similar to this who Vash fights about halfway through the story. And it kind of works there because the first few villains that Vash fights are Yasuhiro Naitao steroid junkie weirdos. They're basically joke villains. They don't have pathos. They were cartoon villains. Like, Vash fought them in the first 2 to 3 volumes of the manga, and you went, haha, wow, that was a crazy fight. What a weirdo. And then you kind of move past it, because at that point, Trigun hasn't really become the story about Vash the Stampede's humanity yet. And then when this villain hits you with all of this, like, once the story has taken its more serious turn and then brings back those fucking goofy villains as illusions for Vash to confront, it actually hits really hard, because it's like, it's almost doing that meta thing of, you just thought of us as jokes, didn't you? We were people. We had real motivations.
Right.
And it works because of the time it took to get there. Again, multiple volumes. If it were a TV anime, it probably would have taken like 12 to 15 episodes to get to these moments. And I think Metallic Rouge can't do it because it did it in 4. We don't know these characters. Even Viola, the one in the first episode, is kind of doing the whole, like, we're not just random villains, we're people with dreams. And it's like,
yeah,
we barely know you.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think that all of Metallic Rouge's problems are merely in the narrative choices it makes. I think some of those could actually work in a show that had the breathing room to develop them.
Yep.
but the choices they've made in the context of it also being a one-course show does not do it any favors.
It makes me wonder if they're doing this now, where are they going with the rest of the series? Like,
good question.
Yeah,
I think
so
that's probably
strange.
why, for better or worse.
I mean, what, like, the episode ends with what, the like weird circus walking into town?
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel like it'll be one of those situations where the series ends and it'll be like, stay tuned for the movie that will come out in a year.
Oh,
That
man.
will cover.
oh man. Holy cow.
yeah. I don't know, man. Well, it is disappointing.
It is a real shame, and I know that I can't remember who didn't particularly like episode 1. Was it you, Jel, who wasn't that impressed by the first episode either?
I was also not
premiere?
super impressed by episode 1.
I did. I really, really loved the premiere. Was it style over substance? Definitely. Like, I know that's an overused line. Like,
Right.
style over substance, but I feel like it can really truthfully be applied to the premiere. But I did love it. It was so good, and I would have probably watched.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
I
think for me, it's like,
to impress me on the same level.
I think for me, like in a bubble, I probably thought episode 1 was good, but my watching anime for too many years poisoned my brain into seeing warning signs where I was like,
even the artwork feels like it's declined at this point. To be honest, the only thing that has remained consistently good for me has been the music.
Yes.
which no matter how much you run out of budget, the music is done. You've composed it. You've made it. You can keep playing it. So of course.
I mean, just to echo that last part about visually.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about how the latest villain's ability is creating illusions, right? Including doing the Naruto shadow clone jutsu thing, right? Okay, Jel, tell me, if you were fighting a dude who could make illusory clones of himself, and he made 5 clones of himself standing horizontally shoulder to shoulder, and they charged at you. Or let's put it the other way around. If you were the one creating the shadow clones,
right?
Which of the 5 would you pick to be?
I mean, by default, you're the middle one, right? But
that's really obvious, right? So you wouldn't be the middle one, right?
Right. So, right, yes. The logic being, of course, they're going to go for the middle. So that's the only one that you don't want to be.
Right.
She runs in and spears the middle, and it's him.
It's him.
Right, because otherwise, what was the point of?
What was the point of the clones?
Didn't even work, dude.
He literally does the cup and ball trick, but doesn't switch the cup.
Doesn't switch the ball.
He's like, ooh, which cup is the ball in?
Yeah. Oh man.
The one that didn't move. Look. It's really silly.
It's
so funny.
And that really reeks to me of like, oh man, yeah, we do not have the time to make this a more elaborate.
It's a real 4:55 p.m. on a Friday job.
Yeah. Oh man, it's like, oh no, if that's how the fights are going to finish up going forward, yeah, we are in trouble.
At least like Under Ninja last season, we'll always have the OP.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, are you guys gonna keep watching? Because I'm done. I think.
Sure.
But...
I think this is it for me.
I don't know. I'm sort of morbidly curious. I'm not not enjoying myself enough to write it off.
But for the right reasons, though.
Jel, why would you ask that of me and Eero 3 years into this podcast? Hey, will you two idiots watch the bad anime original and report back to the rest of us about how bad that anime original was?
That's just how it goes sometimes, I guess.
Look, we watched Fena to completion. We watched
I actually watched.
to completion.
I think I also finished Fena.
Jill, I watched all of Magatsu
Look, I've got all of you beat because I watched season 2 of Rage of Bahamut. So
damn,
I did too.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got me. You do have me beat.
that one
That's
hurt me too much, right? The
That's
cut
my
me
trump.
too deep.
That's my trump card. But
I had to tap out of that one.
It cut
yeah.
me too deep. It hurt too much.
Well, unless anybody else has anything on that, we can move on to another question of why.
I'll say, Naomi Orthman is a top tier anime waifu of this season.
A very well designed character. Yes.
Okay, they've also have that going for them, I suppose. But I guess on another show, we're questioning why we're still watching this. Artemis, you're also still watching The Witch and the Beast.
I mean, not anymore, but yes.
Okay, up until
I did watch the most recent episode,
which is what, like 3 or 4 or something.
4 or 5. I can't.
Oh wow, okay.
I don't know. I'm in a decent chunk, but it's more than 3. It's got to be either 4 or 5.
I'm curious what happened.
I really approached this series asking just one question: does the author actually hate women? Or is there some kind of twist that I'm not seeing and I'm just not smart enough to figure it out until whatever happens? It hasn't. Yes, he does.
So the question is
no,
yes. The answer is yes. Yeah.
I feel, in all seriousness, it's not an accusation I feel that comfortable throwing around because we are talking about a real person who made this story. But it's not a good look.
What? So,
I don't know
okay.
who. I haven't read the manga. I don't know anything about this author. I don't know the author's name. I also don't care about any of those things. This anime adaptation is just violent all the time, but in the worst ways. And it's always like a woman on the other end. Not that, there are other, there are male characters and they also get beat up and what have you, but not to the extent that it happens to the female cast.
Yeah. And presentation and everything as well. Like, I think the big thing in the first episode was like, the witch had the collection of all the young women with their limbs missing, and they're all naked, of course.
That's been the most egregious of it. So it hasn't gotten worse than that.
But they keep doing things like that.
That's a very low bar, and it is worth noting that I think it was I don't know. I think it was the most recent episode, as of this recording at least, where the villains were 2 guys, like 2 kids basically, or teenagers. But boys, men, whatever, and so not an evil female witch, but nothing really happened to them. They just got really badly beat up, and then I guess spoilers are fine. Spoiler alert if anyone hasn't watched episode, I think it's 5. Their mum mercy kills them, basically, just shoots them in the head.
Okay.
And she does so because there's no way they can continue to exist without killing innocent people. And if they don't kill innocent people, then the nature of the magic that has beset them means that they will undergo tremendous suffering and die anyway.
Okay.
Right.
And so she just shoots them, each of them in the head, and that's it. That is pretty tame compared to whatever we saw in episode 1, right? They get off easy.
Yeah.
And they are not they get really beaten up so their faces are swollen and whatnot, but they're not disfigured. They don't have, they're not knocked unconscious and have their whatever, it's just
laying around naked.
Everything that happens to women in this show is not only violent, but also in some way either kind of weirdly has a sexual thing to it that's not explicitly stated, but it's there, or is just kind of degrading in some way.
Yeah.
And it's very much not an equal. I don't think I would like the series even if it was that kind of violence was equally distributed, because it just feels extremely teenage edgelord to me.
Yes, yeah.
But at least it would you could at least say oh no, it's not a woman thing. It's just this world of shit, and everyone in it gets a shit destiny kind of thing.
This guy read Berserk and didn't understand the emotional pathos within?
It does really feel, it's. I'm definitely done. It's just.
It is very
I really wanted it to give it the benefit of the doubt, because I thought, maybe episode 1 was kind of a red herring, and they're gonna, I don't know, do something, even if not redeem the show overall, to at least give a reason why. I don't know. The more I say it, the worse it sounds, because the show is pretty bad. And I don't think it's going to get better. I think, if anything, it's probably just going to get worse.
No, yeah. I mean, I watched the first episode because I thought there was I don't know. We love us some modern urban fantasy kind of
right. It's genre-wise, and even just reading the premise.
Yeah.
It sounds like something that would be.
It looks kind of cool.
Up my alley, Yeah, the production values are pretty good, I think, overall, but it just fails completely in any kind of balanced storyline or narrative payoff or reason for existing. I'm completely honest with you.
Hit him with there's no reason for this to exist.
There's not, and it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. We've all seen worse, but I'm sure we could all list many things we've watched that are just absolute trash, and we wished we had never even watched a second of it.
Yes, especially in the early days of the vlog.
But the fact that this is causing you to bring up such a hypothetical is.
I would rather watch more Solo Leveling than I would watch more The Witch and the Beast.
Damn. Well. Oof. I guess that's another one we can scratch off the list then. Yeah, but it's another one. Like I said, I mean, it felt like it could have been cool, and they just did not.
Yeah, did not.
Apparently, it was written by a ninth grader in the back of his notebook somewhere. Like it's middle. What I call it, middle school edgelord cool.
Right. It is very much that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me to know that it is. Originally a seinen manga, so it was written for older men, just marketing wise, that's who it's for. And it's sad that does not surprise me one bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, we can scratch that one off the list, but we can move on to our other half of Brave Dungeon Thursdays.
Yep.
And we could talk about Bang Brave, Bang Bravern. I should watch more of this. I don't know why I didn't. Maybe it was just a time.
This show is wild.
This show is
so good. What has happened since the main dude came inside the robot?
Okay, so
Lewis Smith found a mysterious girl on the beach, right?
Yeah. And that's the stereotypical American guy, right?
She has sort of imprinted on him and turned into a small girl who just talks in baby talk and hugs him all the time. And this is happening while Isami is still traumatized and upset that he has to come inside of Bravern every time.
Wait, so is the little girl like another robot or something, or we don't know?
No, okay, so the girl, she initially appears as like an adult woman who is like seemingly like ejected out of the
rival mech.
The rival mech that they fight in episode 2, basically. And so episode 3 is mostly a combination of like Lewis trying to figure out what to do with this feral woman who is trying to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of establishing like the like continue to establish the Bravern Isami relationship. Episode 3 is great because Isami just refuses to leave Bravern.
He's just curled in the fetal position inside of the cockpit.
And everybody on the base is like trying to coax him out of the robot, basically.
Oh wow, it's a reverse get in the robot.
Yeah.
Get out of the robot, Isami.
Get out of the robot. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. And yes, as Zero said, then yes, the anime alien lady, like when she first wakes up, she tries to kill Lewis for like a solid 8 minutes there. Like she's just beating the shit out of him.
Okay.
And then I guess he manages to hit her like, I don't know, reset button or something, factory reset.
Yep.
And yeah, she like turns into the like, I don't know, fucking goo goo gaga anime baby, I guess. But and like this all sounds probably kind of terrible out of context, but like
I'm like, where are we going with this?
It works because like Bravern has an immensely deadpan sense of humor.
Yeah.
And so what it actually is using the anime girl for is like to create a subtextual situation in which Isami thinks he has caught Lewis, quote unquote, cheating on him. The drama of episode 4 is that Isami refuses to speak to Lewis because Lewis is now palling around with his hot new thing and not spending time with him anymore.
Wait, hang on. I need to clarify. Is she just always a little girl now, or
I think so? Yeah.
Okay.
You know, Isami is like, I thought Lewis and I were friends, but I see how it is now, and it's like, you know,
I have to highlight the gag where they bring her into the torture room, the waterboarding room, to waterboard her for information, and she just drinks all the water.
Like they do to Isami. Yeah.
They can't waterboard her because she's just drinking all the water.
That's pretty good.
Oh my god,
it's very good.
Yeah, and again, for anybody not familiar with the show, it's being played 110% serious for the purpose of comedy, right? Like it's not like
exactly that's what I've said.
Yes.
I say it's a very deadpan sense of humor,
right?
Like the whole, like, again, it's like the introduction of the girl almost seems to exist just to create like the presentation of a lover's spat between Lewis and Isami,
right?
And there's some very just, you know, I don't want to just like break down every joke, but there's just a lot of really good gags in the latest episode. You know, Isami gets into a bit of a scuffle with Lewis over, you know, the status of their relationship, and the alien girl whose name is Lulu. I guess this activates her fucking fight or flight mode, and she fucking decks Isami so hard he does like a 720 spin through the air before like crashing into the side of a building. And this joke works especially well because the scene gets introduced with Isami getting a new like pilot suit, because I guess it's explained that every time Bravern powers up, it just disintegrates Isami's clothes, so he needs a special pilot suit that won't get blown up by Bravern's brave spirit, I guess. And they explicitly say, and so we built some we even built some airbags into your pilot suit now, and those get activated when he gets decked to the side of a building. But
that's pretty good.
The thing that really clinches the joke is that the airbags just deflate into these two like long, sad-looking sacks that trail behind his suit.
Yep.
And they just stay there for the rest of the drama between him and Lewis.
Yes, and as he angrily storms away, you just hear Robert getting dragged across the ground. Right?
It's so good.
Okay.
Like, I am like constantly in awe of how like fucking funny this show is.
So they're really going into the comedy, like
yes, fully.
Okay, because I did watch the first episode, and while it was clearly like a lot of parody going on, I feel like it was also kind of legitimately making a super robot show. But I couldn't tell how hard they were going to lean into the parody comedy aspect of it. And it sounds like they are definitely.
I mean, so I will say, funnily enough, this show kind of reminds me of the Yakuza games.
Okay.
Where there is the comedy dimension and then there is the drama dimension.
Okay.
Because this is also the same episode in which they send an unmanned drone to check in on Japan.
Right, because global communications are down.
Because global communications have been completely destroyed by the aliens. So the people, our heroes who are in Hawaii, have no clue what is happening in the rest of the world. And so the episode opens up with them being like, well, we need to decide which part of the world we liberate first. And Bravern gives this long speech, this long, intentionally like wordy, rambling speech about how heroes can choose to either arrive with the rising of the sun or the setting of the sun. And there's legitimate, valid arguments to be made in favor of both points. They have different thematic presentations. They can mean different things depending on who sees them. And the arrival and the time of the day can change, the backdrop of the fight that the heroes have arrived to. Now, I think there's plenty of arguments to be made for arriving with the setting sun. In fact, I even support it in certain situations. However, at the end of the day, I think heroes should arrive with the rising of the sun. Thus, we should liberate Japan.
The land of the rising sun.
The land of the rising sun.
Right.
And so you have this stupid joke, and then the episode ends with the drone finally getting to Japan, and Japan is an obliterated wasteland.
Right.
Nothing. In flames. Nothing.
Tokyo is in rubble.
Alive remains. Yes, Tokyo is in rubble, obliterated, razed to the ground.
So
and it is played completely straight.
Does that mean we're going to go to Anime America?
I think they're still going to go to Japan.
They're still going to go to Japan. It's just the situation. All they say is we can't detect any signs of life. It's same show, same show.
Yeah,
you get the shot of the Japanese EWAX control girl having a panic attack, overseeing Japan in this state.
And this is the same episode in which the way Bravern gets Asami out of his funk is by taking him to a local bar in Hawaii, where he meets a bunch of grunts, boots on the ground, regular infantry soldiers, who all treat Asami like a hero because they're all like, hey man, I don't know what's up with that robot, but you saved our lives. If it weren't for you, we'd all be dead. To us, you're our hero.
They buy you a drink. Let me buy him a drink first.
Yeah, and they're all goofy anime Americans.
Bartender says, you all can't buy him a drink until I buy him a drink. Me, the bartender.
Slapping him on the back. And Bravern drives Asami to this bar in his car mode that he could transform into.
Okay.
But it turns out that when Bravern wants to talk while in car mode, he just sticks his head out of the top of the car to talk to Asami.
It's right. It's not like the lights flash and his voice comes out. It's the head still pops
his head out of the car.
That's pretty good.
All right. I don't know. I realize I'm just describing the jokes, but it's there's just something about its particular sense of humor.
I mean, that sets the tone for what's going on. Yeah.
It just nails it every time. I am so surprised by this.
They go underwater in episode 3 and to make sure Isami's not crushed by the pressure, they fill the cockpit with an oxygenated liquid.
Yes.
So they're like, Isami, don't worry, you can breathe this oxygenated liquid. It's just like in the abyss.
Right. They reference the James Cameron film.
Oh, the movie, yeah.
Isami's like, how the hell do you know about the abyss?
Which further supports my theory that Bravern is Lewis from an alternate bad future timeline. Because why the fuck would this robot know about James Cameron's The Abyss?
Or reference that instead of Evangelion.
Right, and that's the double joke, right? To me.
Yeah, because when you were saying it, they're going to make an Evangelion joke. I was waiting for it, and then that's even better. So, that sounds pretty funny. I'm gonna have to catch up with that, I think.
Maybe I'll give it a try since I'm dropping so much.
Yeah,
my list now. I'll have some space.
We're cutting our list down here.
As we said in the prior podcast, I think obviously this show is definitely kind of leaning on being a mech show for mecha fans, but I also think its sense of humor is just so.
Yeah, I mean that sounds universal.
Solid.
Yeah, I mean that sounds just universally funny, regardless. So I'll have to check it out. I need to complete the other half of Brave Dungeon Thursdays.
Yeah. Also, just a great line in the latest episode where Bravern says, "What is it? Now, Asami, I'd love to stay up all night and chat about special moves with you."
Wouldn't we all? Wouldn't we all?
Get you a man who wants to stay up all night and chat about special moves.
Talking about special moves. All right.
Excellent.
Well, I'm glad we could end on a fun note.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that show immensely.
We do have some good things going this season, so that's good. But yeah, I think that's going to do it then for this episode. So just to do our housekeeping, you can check us out at theglorioblog.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GLORIO or at the GLORIO blog, although I've not been tweeting there at all anymore because I don't want anything to do with Twitter anymore. And you can follow us on co-host at GLORIO. And you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, all those good things. You can tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch everybody next time.